Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Esley Greer from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews, back with another review in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Today I am joined by a good friend of mine, Dawson from Dawson's Universe, and you'll just have to see who the surprise guest is. Quick cameo. But yeah, we are here to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, and our opinions differ quite a bit, so it's going to be an interesting video. So yeah, let's get into it. So, like a lot of remakes, it's very divisive between fans. I think that's the reason why we haven't seen another Friday 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, so on and so forth. And one more thing before we get started, I will admit this is the very first A Nightmare on Elm Street that I've ever seen. But the first movie I saw with Freddy Krueger was Freddy vs. Jason. So, yeah, Dawson, take it away, dude.
Hey, my fans. So I'm going to be doing a movie review of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. Now, I know I don't do movie reviews, but this is for my good friend E-S-L-E-Y Greer. So man, this is for you. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. I don't have any positives with this movie. So, the only negatives I have with this movie is the fact that this movie is the worst remake ever. Some of the flaws with this movie are, all the kills, recreating all the scenes from the previous movies. This movie is just not the best in the Nightmare series, but it's the worst. I hate this movie. So this movie is just not fun at all. It's pointless. Nancy is the only saving grace of this movie. But this movie is just not the best movie. It's the absolute worst, trashy movie. And, I think the screenwriters could have done a better job with this movie in general, but I don't like this movie at all. With all that being said, my rating for this movie, I'm going to give this movie a 0.5 out of 10 stars on my list. So, entertainment reviews, that was for you, man. You are the absolute best. Thank you for having me collab with you. I hope we can talk more and discuss horribly about this movie. So, but yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me collab with you, and I can't wait to collab with you more in the future. All right, my fans, y'all take care, and I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, I think it's obvious a lot of people hate this film, and you're one of them. 0.5 out of 10. I don't think that movie's that bad, but I can see where you're going. I mean, I see where a lot of people hate this film, and I do get the hate. And there's things I hate about this film as well, but we'll get into that. But before I get started, we're gonna let the special guest have a quick cameo, and take it away, my brother.
I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It's one of my top 5 favourite horror films of all time. And when they were announced they were doing a remake, I was skeptical because beforehand, previous horror remakes like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even Friday the 13th, they were all pretty bad. And that's why I was skeptical about this one, especially since it got a first-time director who's pretty much just known for doing music videos, and he didn't bring nothing to the table with this film. The acting is poor, Rooney Mara is wasted, and everything about this movie just is nowhere near as good as the original. It is a complete disappointment, and because of that, it is in my top 5 worst horror films of all time, because it's such a disappointment to me and an insult to the original.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I know you hate this film as well, so this is gonna be really interesting. But yeah, it's time to get into my positives and negatives with this film. I'll tell you what. We're going to end this on a positive note, so I'm going to start with my negatives first, because there are some negatives. Despite me liking this film, there are negatives. So my main negative with this film is the fact that they turn Freddy Krueger straight up into a child molester. There were always hints scattered throughout the whole franchise. I mean, if you're gonna kill a kid, there'd be a reason behind it so they don't tattle on you or something. I'm not sure, but in the original series it was so child killer, but originally they were gonna go with child molester, but you know, back in the '80s they didn't want to root for a child molester, but a child killer. So, but yeah, it's just the fact that they straight up went for a child molester in this film. I mean, I get it, but it is hard to root for a child molester, and it's one of the worst things you can do ever. My other negative with this film is Rooney Mara. I mean, she is a great actress from the other films that I've seen her in, but this one, she just did this to, get a paycheck, and she don't even like horror. She don't care for horror. They told her if she does this, she gets this and this amount of money, and she took it. But I think it was her agent that's like, you need to do this, or her manager or whatever. She's like, you need to do this. So, I get where she's coming from, but you also have to respect the source material. Like, you have to respect what came before this film. And I know no one's ever going to live up to Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, but at least try to be half as good as her, or at least just as good, or almost as good. But no, she's just pretty much a one-note character in my opinion, but that's just me. Some of the characters do get on your nerves, like Jesse does a little bit. Some other teenage characters, but whatever. So with that being said, let's jump into the positives with this film. I know I said them going for a straight-up child molester is the worst thing they could do, but I will say that Jackie Earle Haley does do a good job as a scary Freddy. Because, here recently we've just been used to comedic Freddy, or at least, they came back with New Nightmare, and that was like sinister Freddy. It was very dark. Then you go for Freddy versus Jason, which was pretty much the same Freddy from Dream Warriors, a good mixture of comedic tones and horror elements. So, like I said, he does do a decent job, but he's no Robert Englund. But I will say that I do like this Freddy better than some of the other ones that was portrayed by Robert Englund. You're like, what do you mean the other ones? I mean, the way he acted in Part 4, Part 5, and 6. I do like the kills in this. I do like that first kill. With that guy from the Twilight series. That death was pretty cool. Some other ones were cool. I do like the recreation of, where she's, up on the wall and everything. I do like the recreation of that. It's not as good as the first, but it's still fun to watch. For the most part, the special effects are good in this. The cinematography's great, but if there are times where the special effects in the original look better than this one, but, like the CGI where Freddy's coming through the wall, the CGI version looks like shit. But, it's still fun to watch regardless. I do love the cinematography because this movie was directed by a music video director, and so you can definitely see that. But I will say another thing that I don't like about that with the cinematography and everything is that you know when Freddy's coming. Like, in some of the earlier installments, you didn't know when Freddy was coming sometimes. But in this one, you always know when he's coming. You're just like, oh, Freddy's going to show up in about 5 seconds. Jump scare! It's just bad that you know when he's going to show up. A lot of people complain about the other main character in this, the one that plays the Glenn character, and he does a pretty fine job in this. I mean, he acts like any teenager would if they were going through the same situation in today's generation. So, and that goes with the other teenagers as well. I think they do a fine job for the characters, or for the teenagers of today's generation. So, he's one of the highlights of the film, in my opinion. He does better than Rooney Mara in this film. You're just like, but he's also a one-note character, yeah, but in a way, like, you feel more sympathetic for him, and you understand why he is the way he is in this film. Chris would have been a great main character. I mean, she was a main character for about 20-30 minutes for the film, and, like, she was going to hold it on her own. Like, blonde chicks in horror movies usually don't last, and, she didn't last. She died and everything, but she would have been a great final girl. That's like a complaint I had, but this is both a positive and a negative. Like, she did such a fine job in this film. Like, you actually felt for her and everything, and then they kill her off. Spoiler alert, which is the bad part about it. But I think if it was just Chris and the other main character, the one that plays the Glenn character, if they got together, that would have been a better film in my opinion. Like, I think they would have bounced off each other well, but that's just me. I do like some of the one-liners in this. You're just like, but he's he's not comedic. You said he was horrifying. Yeah, I mean, you can still be scary and say something, you know, say a one-liner. I do like the one where I think it's the first kill, or at least it's Jesse's. I think it's Jesse's kill. I don't really care for Jesse in this film, but his kill was pretty cool, or at least, you know, the one-liner talking about the 7 minutes after. Uh, I forgot how it went, but it was awesome. This film also has a great idea of micro naps. I know they brought that up. I think they brought it up throughout the original. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but that's just a great idea. They would have played off well in this film, but they did a fine job with part of it. But that's it for today's review. Next franchise review is going to be a Pumpkinhead, but that's going to be a while from now. It's probably going to be about 2 or 3 weeks because I have so many videos planned. It might even be longer than that because I want to focus on other films right now. I don't want to focus on just a franchise. Every upload has to be about this franchise. So, yeah. And don't worry, the next video that I'm going to post, don't worry, guys, it's going to be the worst horror film of all time, or at least in my opinion. Because I know I promised that last year. I said if I get to 200 subscribers by the end of this year, I will review it, and that's gonna be the next video because I promised that. Yeah. With that being said, I will give A Nightmare on Elm Street an 8.5 out of 10. I do like it almost as much as the original, but I know a lot of people give me shit about that. I mean, they already probably are giving me shit about saying that anyway. But if I liked it better than the original, they'd be like, "What the?" But if you say that about Friday the 13th, no one gives a shit. Like, it doesn't make any bit of sense. Thanks, guys, for joining me. If you found any entertainment in this review, let me know in the comments below, and peace.